Hello, welcome back to Mountain Mode. You're joining me here today on the last leg of my flight on a Friday afternoon. I'm returning to Maseru empty, and so I'm going to take the opportunity to practice for myself a simulated engine failure overhead the field. What this will allow me to do is just practice and remind myself what the aircraft performs like after an engine failure, and to just run through my procedure and practice the correct sequence of events following an engine failure. I'll do my best to talk through it, and hopefully I will do it well enough that I can actually share this video. We're encouraged to do these practices when we don't have passengers and when we're at our home base, and so it's a good opportunity and not one that I want to miss. So for some people, if you're not a pilot or you have not had too much flight experience, you may not know what happens to an aircraft once the engine stops. Essentially, the aircraft will continue to glide. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. Depending on the aircraft make, model and shape and all of that stuff, it will be able to glide to varying degrees of efficiency. This 206 is not the best glider. It's got a lot of stuff hanging off of it. It's got the pod, it's got the mud flaps on the wheels, and it's just not the most streamlined aircraft. And so you'll find that it does an okay job, especially having the stall wings on it. It does an okay job. It certainly is a lot better than other aircraft that I've flown, but it's not exactly a glider. But what will happen is, following an engine failure, we'll select our correct speed to glide at for the weight that we have. We'll choose our landing field, which in this case is going to be the runway, and following that we'll run through a couple other procedures that we would do in a real emergency. I'll try and talk through them today, and we're going to continue to follow the pattern that we decide and judge it well enough to land the aircraft on our landing field, or in this case the runway. Charlie Mike Charlie is through centerline, bird's nest in sight. Thank you, 189 for bird's nest, Charlie Mike Charlie. Bird's nest, good day, 7 Papa, Charlie Mike Charlie. Good day, we're inbound from Kacha's Neck. 1 hour 30 fuel, 1 on board, negative packs. For landing, and request initially join in overhead, Charlie Mike Charlie. Thanks, 1022. We'll call you on finals for 04 next, Charlie Mike Charlie. Alright, so that's the radio out of the way. My runway today is 4,381 foot long, I believe. 3815 actually. So it's nice and long. It's at 5,100 foot. It's got 1% slope and it's asphalt. I've got a hill on my final approach as well as a stadium, so that is my obstructions. My abort is going to be down and braking by the second marker. If I'm not down and braking by the second marker, I will abort. Alright, I'm going to stay at about 2,000 foot above the field, and that will allow me to just position nicely and simulate the engine failure. So what I'm aiming to do, I want to be as accurate as I can, but because I'm starting this procedure from overhead, I'm basically wanting to touch down within the first third of the runway or so. As long as I can make the field, that will be acceptable. If I could be more accurate than that and touch down on the numbers, that would be great. But for today, or for this type of simulation, it's acceptable to be kind of within that first third of the runway. So like I was saying, once I'm overhead, I'm going to close the power. The aircraft will have a glide that will be similar to what it would be like without the engine running. in fact, the glide will be a little bit worse because the spin-in propeller is going to create some drag. If that prop had stopped in a real emergency, or if we were able to, really shut it down, sometimes it would stop, sometimes it wouldn't, depending on what type of engine failure you have. But essentially, we're going to get a similar performance to what we would expect with a real engine failure. So on my left is this lake and the runway, just past it over there. I'm going to just wait until I'm overhead and turn, double check the wind, make sure they've given me the right runway, and then I'll start the procedure from there. You'll notice as well every 1,000 foot or so I'm going to just give the engine some power, and that's just in a simulation to make sure that I am that I still have the engine to help me if I need, that it's not a real situation, and it'll help a little bit just to keep it somewhat spooled up and a little bit warm as well. So you'll see me doing that. Alright, I'm overhead, I don't see much with the wind, and I'm going to go ahead and close the power. Alright. And first thing is my glide speed at 65. I'm going to increase that to 70 as I get a little lower just for safety. Grass is below me, the runway. I'm going to be turning around to my right and using 6,100 foot as a key point to be my touchdown zone. Alright. Okay, then in a real situation I would gab next, which is mayday, mayday, mayday. Red button, ELT, and radio call. Alright, I'm losing height pretty quickly here, so I'm going to be turning, keeping my runway in sight. Alright. Okay, instruments and switches for the real, flaps, cowl flaps for the real landing are checked. Brakes and prop for the real landing is complete. Alright, I gotta turn a little quicker here. I'm gonna give some power just to make sure my engine is still running. Okay, and turning on to final. Before landing, in a real situation, I would do guts, which is shutting down electrics, using flaps before doing that, and then getting out as the last key. Charlie Mike Charlie, turn in final approach, 04. Okay, turn on to finals here. Clear land 04, Charlie Mike Charlie. Okay, I've got a displaced threshold here, so landing a little deep. Okay, I'm set for the real situation, and in terms of my engine failure procedures, we're good as well. Before touchdown, I would turn off the master switch. Full flaps, and here we go, onto the numbers would be great. Ah, yes, alright, there we go. Okay, so that happens pretty quick, but if I can quickly talk through that, it might be helpful. So what we do is follow 6 G's, which is glide, grass, gas, gab, guts, and get out. Thank you. We'll continue to park in Charlie Mike Charlie. So glide is the first thing, which is setting the glide speed to the correct speed for the weight. Then grass, choosing your grass, which is where you're going to be landing, choosing a key point as well. Then gas, which will be looking for your fault, going through your, putting your fuel pump on, and changing fuel tanks. And gab would be your mayday calls. Guts would be shutting down before landing. Getting out would be the last action when you're on the ground. So I hope that was helpful. I'm glad it worked out, and I could demonstrate that for you today. I never get it perfect. There's always stuff I missed. Today I skipped over pretty quickly from the gas, so you know, I didn't spend much time or any time at all switching on my fuel pumps and changing tanks, so that's something that I need to improve and do next time. But I'm glad with my performance, with the actual aircraft performance, turning around and making it back safely to the runway, so I'll call that a win. Thanks for watching, see you next time. Cheers.